I want to introduce to you the chairman of the LBW Trust, Mr. David Vaux. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, as acknowledged by Mike, ladies and gentlemen, what a great, wonderful turnout of obviously very impassioned people. I love the energy and the noise that's in the room. Keep it up. Thank you so much for supporting the LBW Trust and our work in helping to educate disadvantaged students in developing cricket-playing countries. I would like to quickly address two matters. First, to give you a brief report about the work of the Trust in 2015, and secondly, to make a presentation to two very special long-term contributors to the Trust. In the 2015 calendar year, the Trust raised over $300,000. These funds were raised through last year's dinner at the SCG with Michael Holding and Brian Lara as guest speakers, a golf day at Eleanora Golf Club, and from the extraordinary work of Ryan Carter's with the Batting for Change campaigns. Ryan is on Sheffield Shield duty in New Zealand, of all places, and can't be with us tonight. We support the education of over 1,500 students in countries whose flags are shown behind me. Your donations help with tuition fees, living expenses, learning aids, and in Nepal, assistance in building new classrooms and fit-outs. I would like to especially acknowledge Pat Price, the founder of the Heartland College in Nepal, who is with us tonight. Pat does truly remarkable work, and his college fortunately survived the dreadful earthquake and provided relief and shelter to their local community in Kathmandu. I'm pleased to announce tonight that the Trust has agreed to a new 3-year funding agreement with the Heartland College. The majority of students the Trust support come from families who survive on less than $5 per day. Just imagine that. Without your help, these young men and women would not receive an education and would not have an opportunity to change their own, their families, and their communities' lives. Education is the key to not just breaking out of the poverty cycle, but to achieving liberty and freedom. This week, I heard an extraordinary interview on the ABC. It was an interview with a Kenyan woman called Kakenya Natala, who made a deal, and listen to this, she made a deal with her father when she was 7 that she would consent to be circumcised, to be mutilated, in return for what? In return for her father agreeing to give her an education. Can you imagine a child at 7 making that sort of deal? That lady now is a PhD. She's a highly respected international educator, and she sponsors a school in Kenya where entry is conditional upon the girl not being mutilated and also not being forced into marriage between the ages of 12 and 17. But there are millions of women who are deprived of an education. But as Malaha Yousafzai, the young woman from the Swat Valley in Pakistan who was shot in the head by the Taliban for suggesting that girls have a right to go to school said, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen, and we can change the world." And that is the purpose of the LBW Trust. We are small, but we are powerful. We do make a difference. Ask the 5 young women in Afghanistan who we support to study medicine if that support is not life-changing. We are finding out more about what we can do to help Dr. Natalia in Kenya. Perhaps we can support some of the girls graduating from her high school to attend university. Tonight, please help us to help women such as those to get a better life and to change the world. That's the challenge that I put upon all of us here tonight. Let's do something to make a difference. I can assure you that the money you donate is very carefully managed. We have very exacting processes which track the money to make sure it is properly spent. We work hard to make sure that our compliance and governance is appropriate. To that end, I'd like to thank very much my fellow directors of the Trust, Malcolm Alder, Treasurer, Christine Devaney, Secretary, the wonderful Mike Coward, who recently was awarded by the Australian Sports Commission a Lifetime Achievement Media Award. Our most recent director, Rob Lloyd, who has just returned from visiting one of our projects, the Foundation of Goodness in Sri Lanka, presenting the foundation with a $30,000 cheque for technology centres on behalf of Barker College, Banning for Change and the LBW Trust. A magnificent initiative from Rob. And also Ron Holmes, our event coordinator extraordinaire. And then finally to Steve Kinane, the chair of our education subcommittee. Steve's unfortunately about to retire from the board as he takes up a very senior position with the ABC as a senior correspondent in Europe. Thank you to our lead sponsors, who Dashak will talk a little bit more about when he reviews the 10 years of the LBW Trust. And I'd also like to welcome and thank for the first time our corporate tables, and that's led by Genesis Care, PricewaterhouseCoopers, UBS, Crestone Private Wealth, Credit Suisse, Ord Minnett Private Wealth, and Herbert Smith Freehills. We really thank you very much for your support. Thank you also to the Banning for Change 11 sponsors, Harvey Norman and your tutor. Tonight is the 10th anniversary of the Trust. It's also the night where over those 10 years we will have raised in excess of $2.5 million to help educate several thousand students. 2 people have been greatly instrumental in the Trust's success. They are, of course, Lynn O'Brien and Dashak Mehta. I ask them to come to the stage. Cannot see Lynn. There she is. Come up here, Lynn, please. Lynn joined the LBW Trust soon after its formation. She has worked tirelessly for the Trust, especially for our SCG dinners. Lynn's energy, resourcefulness and ability to twist arms is inspiring. She has a great heart and passion for the Trust's work. Tonight will be Lynn's last dinner as a LBW Trust Director as she retires from the board. Lynn, on behalf of the thousands of students you have helped, represented in these countries behind me, a mighty, mighty thank you. You have transformed their lives, and I would like to recognise your work with the very first LBW Trust Distinguished Service Award.
What's that? Is that it, is it?
It's a Bennington scarf.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And as we know that you're a renowned lefty,
All right.
I would like Senator John Faulkner to present you with Goff's famous It's Time poster from the 1972 election. Thank you, John. You want to say it, Harry?
Thank you, everyone. This is really overwhelming. It's been 10 challenging years, a lot of fun and a lot of hard work. There's people in the audience who, every time I ring them, they know I've got the begging bowl out and they never refuse me once. As for being a lefty, proud of it. Yes, and it's your dollars that make all the difference to these wonderful, wonderful young people. To know that there's 500 girls now in Bangladesh that won't be sold into a slave trade, and that they will have an education. It'll go out into their families, their communities, and into their countries. So each and every one of you, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because your dollars mean everything to us. Thank you.
Now to Dashak. A range of adjectives come to mind when one talks about Dashak, a founding director of the LBW Trust and its chairman until he stepped down last year and took up the role of president. Words that come to mind include passionate, relentless, charismatic, really annoying, hard-working, emotional, and always compassionate and caring about our students. The LBW Trust would not have achieved what it has achieved over the last 10 years without Dashak's leadership and extraordinary commitment. I am especially thankful that you continue your involvement with the Trust as our President and continue in your role as our spiritual leader. It is therefore only fitting that you join Lynn as the first recipients of the LBW Trust Distinguished Service Award. Please be upstanding in honouring Lynn and Dashak.